Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Collector Car Stories podcast here with CollectorCarCanada.ca. Today, we are on the hallowed grounds of the Cobble Beach Golf Links, and Cobble Beach might help some people know what the event is we're attending. We are at the Cobble Beach Concours d'Elegance for 2025, and we get to a lot of car events through the year, and this might be tops in Canada, certainly tops in Ontario among the shows we've been to this year. For the intro here, I've chosen one of my favorites. I kind of love everything, but there are a few special ones for me, and this 1988 Porsche 959 Comfort with a K, the German way, is definitely in my top five, maybe number one. And just like with a lot of people in collector cars, there's a personal uh, detail atta- attaching me to this car, and that is simply that the 959s began in the 87 model year. I got my driver's license November 17th, 1986, when the 87s were starting to hit the showrooms. Always loved reading about Porsches in Car and Driver, Motor Trend, and Road and Track back at the time. So the 959 certainly left an indelible mark on me. Not North American legal when first produced. So it really is a special treat to see one. Of course, they're all over 25 years old now and can be imported, but expect to pay seven figures if you want the privilege. So we're going to wander around. There are about 300 cars here today, mostly the best of the best. Although one of our favorites today is a 57 Corvette that looks really distressed in its original paint, and it's definitely been a driver for some of those, oh, 68 years. So enough of an intro. I've attracted a bit of a crowd thinking, who is this joker recording beside the 959? Surely it's not his car, and it sure isn't. But we'll move on to see some of the cars. I expect we're going to get enough footage for more than one episode. But here we go. Here comes our little tour of the cars. So here's a look at the full of the 959 Comfort. Again, a 1988 model. I'll just call it silver over sort of a brown burgundy two-tone interior. I didn't study up on the 959 before I got here, but from reading about them in the mid to late 80s, I do remember 444 horsepower, factory rating, all-wheel drive, and an overall special car just for its booming technological advancements at the time. Next up, we're in sort of the exotic sports and supercars for pre-05 class 13. As you might expect, there's judging going on. Most of the judging is completed. Certainly the spectator judging is, and they're going to announce some judging results probably in about an hour's time. So people from my era will probably recognize this. If you weren't looking closely, you might think Lamborghini Countach, but this is the successor to the Countach. It's a 1996 Lamborghini Diablo in red. Next up, we've sold one of these on the website. However, this one is a JDM model. If you look into that cabin, you can see we're looking at a right-hand drive. Honda NSX Type R. Of course, in North America, these were marketed as Acura cars. Beginning in 1991, the factory rated horsepower on these was 270. But this being a Type R, as I say, it's a Japanese market model. Don't quote me on the 270 horsepower for this 94 Type R out of Japan. Another closer look, and you can see that right-hand drive for the steering wheel. Definitely different seats from the stock model, at least in North America. I do see a Recaro branding on it. And the last of the four cars from the pre-05 exotic sports and supercars is this 2001 Lamborghini Murcielago. So I called the Diablo the successor to the Countach. I suppose we could say this Murcielago is a successor to the Diablo. Interestingly, and by coincidence, not ironically, however, that we just yesterday I watched a video by a friend of Cars and Bids, an admitted competitor, but in the U.S. market, a guy named Nick Rochon, who's really entertaining on the videos. If you get a chance to see some of his stuff, you should. It'll keep you entertained. But he was talking about the maintenance costs on his own Murcielago from daily driving it. He said daily driving it, but he said he'd done about 6,000 miles in 2 years. Not quite daily, but he's using it. But a striking Lamborghini, but consistent with what I said about the 959. Um, I guess I like the Countach best, being that it was the 70s and 80s car from Lamborghini. Here's a Maserati MC20. It's not a car I can claim to know a lot about, but I decided to include it in the video because we've had this car at one of our Cars and Coffees events at Haggerty Garage and Social. You can see here it's a 2024 MC20. And I mentioned the Cars and Coffee events. We usually have those at Haggerty Garage and Social in Burlington, Ontario. We're planning on one more this season. Check out our events page on the website, and you'll find that that's the first weekend of October. Get the exact details there, but we'll have lots more in 2026. So the Mazda Miata, no one's going to claim that this has the panache of a Porsche or a Ferrari, but definitely a fun car to drive and definitely a loyal group of owners. We've sold a few Miatas on the website over the years. We'll just walk down this line of four: 1990, 04, 15, and 25. So I think that means each from a separate generation. Certainly 90 was the first year of the Miata. And the time I've spent the most time behind the car I've spent the most time behind the wheel is this second generation. This one's an 04, although back in another life when I worked in the dealership game, we had an '01 that came in on trade, and it was an off make on the used car lot. I don't think management was really that pleased with me driving it as my demo for a month, but it was great fun. And even today, when I get behind this wheel of a Miata, which happens a few times this summer, I kind of wonder. They're so much fun that I wonder, my gosh, why do I fool around with these Porsches and BMWs and have to pay all those maintenance costs when you can have almost as fun as Miata in a Miata, and it's much more reliable and cheap to run. So there are the Mazda Miatas in their 35th anniversary. Okay, I thought I had already seen the Corvette section. We haven't shot it yet, but I saw a series of 6 C1 and C2 Corvettes, but I have found some more. No, this does not look like a typical Corvette to me either, but I did see a Corvette emblem on the rear of it, came a little closer, saw those wheels and thought C4. Then I got a little closer and saw this steering wheel and knew it was from the C4 era. So this is a CERV3 concept Corvette, and it's a 1990 model. I don't have much more background on it than that, but I suspect it's just a General Motors concept car that never got produced. And these concept cars survive certainly their campaigns. So here it is at Cobble Beach Concours d'Elegance for us to appreciate, right from the GM Heritage Collection. Next over here, not a road going Corvette, but certainly a little more recognizable in today's day and age. We've got a current, not just a Corvette, but this one is a ZR1. So released for the 2025 model year, as we saw on that license plate, nameplate. Special car, these ZR1s. Not 500, not 600, not 700, not 800, not 900, not 1,000 horsepower, but 1,064 horsepower out of the factory for these ZR1s. They've since come up with an all-wheel drive version that's more in the 1,200 horsepower range. I knew the 1,064 by heart. I don't know the power of the other one that's a step up. We'll try to get it superimposed on the screen for those watching the video. So a 2025 Corvette ZR1, all decked out for the track, but it looks street legal. We'll take a look at the interior as well. It's kind of driver focused. We're on the passenger side because that's where the sun is, but you can see a driver focused and centered. Everything is inside this 25 ZR1 Corvette. ZR1, I suppose I should say, if we see those two U.S. flag, and certainly Ron Fellows, number 27, a racing legend among Canadians, and he's even got a racing school that uses Corvettes primarily for driver instruction. I'm not going to tell you I didn't expect to see any Buicks, but I was not expecting to see a 75 LeSabre convertible. A fun car, certainly a V8. Let's take a little closer. A 455 cubic inch V8, certainly a common a common engine for the period for Buicks. But looking at this 75, the Sabre convertible, it is in exceptional condition, even though it is saddled with the reputation as being from the Malaise era. A good look at the interior, vinyl seats, a bench across with three seats for three. This one's well optioned. I can see it's got air conditioning, climate control, and it's got an AM, FM. Can't see if that's equipped with an 8-track tape. I don't think so. But even an FM radio on a GM car from the period was a treat. And even a clock over on the far right by the glove box. Please, I wish I could tell you it's running, but it's now 12:40, so I think that clock is only right twice a day. So here's a little more familiar for the people who follow our website. We've sold a number of Mustangs this year and have more coming. 1966 Ford Mustang Coupe, looking pretty original. I don't think that Ford oval was on the car when it left the factory, but otherwise, upgraded wheels, but looking pretty original. This one I'm pleased to see is a manual transmission, a 4-speed on the floor, and a really nice looking package here. BMW followers will know that the E30 version of the M3s have exploded in value in the last 5 or 10 years. Here's an E30 you don't see quite as often in a touring format. T is for touring is what BMW uses for nomenclature for its station wagons. This one's a 1993 316i, I for fuel injected, the touring, so 316 IT. With the 316 model name, I pretty sure this would be a European spec car with a 1.6 liter engine. The smallest 3 Series engines we got here in North America were 1.8, so those were 318s. Moving across to the next car here, those who are interested might look up for details on the year of manufacture program for Ontario license plates. If you have a car that's 1973 or new, older, and you get yourself a set of plates from the year matching the model year of your car, you can right away to Service Ontario in Kingston and get permission to use the plates on your car. So this car, the 1929 Durant 63, looks like these license plates are authentic to the car. So this owner's probably done just that and gotten approval from the authorities to have the 1929 plates on his 1929 Durant 63.